Before them laid a dark and musty tomb full of sarcophagi, 8 to be exact. 2 laid evenly placed in front of the large hole they had come through, damaged by whatever force made the hole. The other 6 sarcophagi laid in the center of the dark room, perpendicular to the 6 pillars that supported the weight of the mountain above, each pillar with a low-lit torch hanging off of fixtures. From their hole in the wall, Alabaster and Vaius quickly pointed out passageways to each other. One in the north wall that was blocked off with a slab of mountain and stone from the collapse of the tomb. Another passageway in the southwest corner, just to their right, that was also walled off like the first. And lastly, a large wooden double door to the east directly in front of them. Vaius silently began casting another magical detection spell with one hand, and using the other hand to signal his ally to move along the south wall of the room. Alabaster cocked his head towards Vaius, shrugged, and began walking directly to the door ahead of him, filling the room with the loud clanks of his plate armor slapping the stone beneath him.
You keep thinking I'm going to stop announcing my presence here, Vaius, but it's not us who should be hidden away. It's them.
Alabaster stated aloud with his sword and shield at the ready as he moved forward. Vaius rolled his eyes as his spell was casted, allowing him to once again search for the magical auras of anything in the room vaguely touched by magic.
See anything, Sir Grey?
Not anything yet, but we'll continue our search,
Vaius replied, still attempting to be quiet. Vaius moved along the perimeter of the south wall with his hand on his sheathed greatsword, while Alabaster confidently strode towards the double doors. Both heroes noted that the sarcophagi had all been broken into, leaving empty voids inside. The evil presence that Alabaster felt from the graveyard still encompassed him as he approached the double doors, putting his gauntlet against the cold wood as he began watching Vaius. The blue Daemon had begun sensing a magical aura as he approached the corner where the south wall met the east wall, noting that the aura was emanating from an unseen passageway behind a wall. Vaius quickly began passing his hand over the wall in front of him, searching for some kind of switch or push-in break. Pacing back a few steps to study the wall, Vaius noticed the torch on the pillar directly behind him had a small gear where the torch was attached to the column. With a swift motion, Vaius tugged at the torch, hearing the satisfying release of locks as the wall he studied swung open with a loud thud.
Good show, my friend. It was such a satisfying bang at the end. I knew you'd agree with me about all the noise.
The knight clapped his gauntlets together, sending loud echoes down the hidden path Vaius uncovered. A chest laid at the end of the short stone pathway, emanating a faint magical aura from its inside, illuminated by a blue glow from an opening Vaius could not see into yet. With his greatsword at the ready, Vaius moved forward, ready to attack anything that jumped from the small opening on the right side of the hallway. Instead, only finding another broken and empty sarcophagus. Blue flame candles flickered, lighting up a large painting on the wall, directly behind the broken sarcophagus. The painting showed the image of a man of medium build, wearing black spiked armor and holding his helmet at his side as he stood stoically, surrounded by cheering townsfolk.
Anything interesting?
Alabaster yelled from the doors he remained at. Vaius sheathed his sword as he walked towards the chest, bending over and grabbing the latch to open it. Instead, Vaius came to the realization that his hand had become fast stuck to the chest as slime began oozing from the chest's opening.
Mimic! Mimic! We have a mimic!
Alabaster pointed, running towards his struggling friend as the chest opened itself to reveal large teeth and a large tongue that sprung forth, pounding Vaius square in the jaw. Quickly shaking off the blow, Vaius quickly grabbed at his stuck hand and ripped it from the mimic's ooze with his tremendous strength, grabbing his greatsword from behind his back in the same motion. Vaius slammed his blade down with such a force that the creature was ripped in two as it gurgled its last scream. green blood and gore quickly puddled the floor beneath Vaius as a scoffing alabaster arrived.
Just tell me why. Why does anyone decide I should get a mimic for my tomb? Aren't families supposed to visit these things?
Alabaster shrugged as he examined the inside of the creature, lifting his gauntlet to reveal two broken pieces of what used to be a key. Vaius looked at the key and grunted, clearly irritated from the small encounter, as he pocketed the pieces and walked back to the wooden double doors in the previous room.
Let me take lead on this one, friend. You can have the next door,
Alabaster said as he walked to the door, grasping the handle and pulling it forward. Behind the door lay a narrow hallway, about 30 feet long, that led to a gated exit. Each side of the walls in the hallway presented hundreds of small holes, with the floor itself also being different from the previous rooms. As opposed to a cold stone floor, squares 1 feet in length laid across the floor in 8 columns that ran all the way to the exit.
All yours, then,
Vaius said, taking a step back and crossing his arms. Alabaster bowed in a dramatic fashion, resetting his armor back on his frame as he restored his posture.
What you have here, my dear friend, is a tradition set in stone, if you will. A classic dungeon trap, the arrow pressure trap. You know what I mean. Stepping on any one wrong slab of stone here could set the entire hallway ablaze with arrow fire. As you see on the ceiling, there's actually a code the maker of the trap uses to get through it.
Alabaster gestured his blade toward the ceiling.
And if you were to study the code closely...
Alabaster abruptly stopped his explanation as he began foolishly marching forward in a childish manner. Clanks of the knight's armor triggered pressure-sensitive squares beneath him as the room erupted with steel arrows firing back and forth with extreme force. Alabaster, however, strode on as he almost made a dance of it, whistling a tune. Arrows pathetically bounced off his gleaming armor, with magical force glowing with each strike to it as he closed in on the exit. With a dramatic jump and flourish, Alabaster hit a square on the left wall at the end of the hallway, stopping the arrows that had continued firing back and forth.
Ta-da!
The knight waved his gauntlets at his hips back and forth.
Yes, we all know your magical armor and undead bones can't feel much pain of anything you show off.
Vaius smiled softly as he traversed the hallway, his arms still crossed.
Being dead's not all that bad, you know,
Alabaster said smugly as he opened the gate behind him. The two found themselves at the beginning of a spiral stairway leading below.
If these stars become a slide, you're my riding log.
Vaius slapped Alabaster's breastplate as he passed the knight, taking the lead.
Night and Daemon.